It is Ray, and I have Brian with me, and we are talking about our awesome Twitter chat that we just had. So, Brian, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Thanks for letting me host. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah? What was, were you nervous? Is this your first chat? Can you tell us a little bit?
This is my first hosting of a Twitter chat, so thank you for your help and everybody's support. This was really cool. It goes very fast.
It does.
Yes. I had the buffer up.
Yeah.
And the tweet deck and Twitter and it was fast.
You were like a tech guru. Listen to all those apps you just threw out. Look at you.
I know. And a lot of people were talking about a lot of things that I was like, oh, I need to learn a little bit more.
Well, isn't that the best part of Twitter chats is that you not only can pose questions as kind of like the host, the expert in that chat, but there's so much value that you can still get from everybody else. So that's kind of the magic of Twitter.
I can see that. Like my professional learning network grew.
There you go.
It was fun.
That's awesome.
I don't know. Like I might have some new followers.
Maybe. There you go.
I'll have to check later.
Growing your PLN, that's the goal.
That's what I hear.
So, Brian, I did give a little bio about you on our pre-chat because before we were able to have you host Twitter, we did talk about you on Facebook and talked about all these great things you're doing. But for those people who did not tune into our pre-chat, do you mind giving some background on yourself and having us learn a little bit about you now that you're officially part of the Mastery Chat family?
I love being a part of the Mastery Chat family. So my name is Brian. I'm a middle school principal in the western suburbs of Illinois. I have been in middle level education for 18 years as an administrator and as a classroom teacher. I'm proud to serve at the middle level, do a lot of work with middle level education. I work in an outstanding school district and have a great staff. It's a lot of fun. How about you? How are you tonight?
I'm good. It's Thursday. This is like my favorite day of the week because even though it was a very full day, very long day, and I kind of rushed home to make it to our chat, I'm always regenerized. You know, after Thursday, there's always a new energy in the air.
I got it. I could feel it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's always good to see, people that I don't necessarily work with, connect with them on Twitter. I see that Jeff's listening with us. Hey, Jeff. He says you did awesome on your first job hoping. Hey, look, there's Jeff, the other Jeff. We're full of Jeffs today.
Hi, Jeff.
So, Brian, we focused a lot on parent communication tonight. What kind of inspired you to pick this theme?
Well, I serve as a building principal, and I have a great staff who does really good things, working and focusing with kids every day. Talking with parents is a big part of the job. There's so much information for parents. I often talk with parents. I host a coffee with the principal, usually monthly, with families. And we talk a lot about how they get so much feedback, either instructionally or with logistics, school-wide, or with the classroom teachers. And to combat that daily, run of when, their child gets home and they say, well, how was school? And the kid says, fine. What'd you do? Nothing. Do you have any homework? Already did it. That day-to-day kind of grind of a parent trying to find out what's going on. I have kids of myself in sixth grade and fourth grade. And the more that we can share with parents and the more that we can create authentic two-way communication with families really makes that classroom atmosphere in the school a great experience for families in our community.
I have to tell you, Brian, I have so many little things that you said that I want to touch on. The first being Jeff just commented as well about it, is your principal coffee. Can you tell us about that? What a great outlet it sounds like that is for your parents to communicate with your staff or with you, really.
Yeah, thanks. Starbucks still doesn't sponsor it or nobody, so maybe
we can fix that.
I could use some help. Maybe Panera. It really started off, I don't know, about 6 or 7 years ago. Just as an opportunity to meet with parents, really have a very loose agenda. I just say we could talk about curriculum, we could talk about school safety, we could talk about communication, we could talk about extracurriculars, we could talk about whatever you want to. They don't really identify, specific situations to their kids themselves, but it's just kind of a general overview. It's really never about presenting. I've had some really good guest speakers. Our counselors have been awesome. We've had, some administrative staff come in, but it's really not about presenting. That's curriculum night, or that's, different opportunities to do that. And it's just an authentic two-way communication dialogue with families. And, I get a pretty healthy number each week. At the beginning of the year, it's a lot of my new families, my sixth grade families, where, I might get 30, 40, 50 people. And then, in other situations, it's 10, 12, 15, sometimes it's 8, depends, parents are busy. I do it at 9:30 in the morning till about 11. I try to do it on half days of school when the schedule's already changed for families for the day, and then they can pick up their kid. I love it. It's like my favorite thing to do.
Well, and that was a big focus of your chat. A lot of your questions alluded to how we need to be transparent. We need to be available. And so to provide parents an outlet in which they can, learn which is a huge part of parent communication, them feeling left out. I mean, that's fabulous.
Well, thanks. Help me with the sponsorship.
Oh, you know what? It sounds like this is a teach further thing. We're going to figure this out. You just wait. We'll get that. They'll be done by next week. We'll do an update to everybody telling them you have 5 sponsors looking to be a part of that event.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, that's so much fun. I get good feedback on that.
One thing I really liked was how you had a lot of your questions allow teachers to share out tools that they're using to communicate with parents. Did you see any tool that you either were surprised to see, or a tool that you weren't surprised to see at all and you really knew that you loved that tool already?
Well, with middle school, we don't come across Classroom Dojo very often, or Seesaw. We're starting to see more and more Flipgrid, which is a lot of fun. We're also starting to use, I have a lot of teachers use Remind 101 quite a bit. Google Classroom is probably the number one mode of communication. Some teachers are going to use, multiple platforms, but Google Classroom is probably the number one.
Well, and I really liked that. I know that another one of our groups of our PLN was talking about how they used Google Classroom. And 2 years ago, Google Classroom was just an outlet for the teacher and student, but now it's developed so much that parents can have access to those tools, and which was a really great example of a tool that was utilized by teachers and students that then was developed even further to then be transparent to our parents, which is really exciting to see.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely saw a lot of Class Dojo. I actually use Seesaw. I'm in a 6th grade classroom. I've heard a lot about how it's more of an elementary, but my kids love it. So I loved seeing all of those tools today.
I was in a classroom that used Flipgrid today. It was phenomenal.
Yes. What were they doing with Flipgrid?
They did an ed puzzle, and they gave kids explained what they were doing and thinking through Flipgrid, and then another group replied to them using Flipgrid. It was like a video of a video of a video. It was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. It's funny, we're doing something very similar in my connected classroom group that we're connecting our classrooms all across the world. And yeah, it's like they have one video and then they respond in another and another. And it's amazing. You can have this like pen pal relationship that's like taken up to so many different levels.
Yeah. And I think even like within your own school, just that connecting this, ELA class to this ELA class, or this math class to this math class. It doesn't, it's cool that you could do it across the world, but even in your own community of learners, how can you give feedback to somebody that, it's not an easy thing for kids or teachers or parents to give or receive feedback, but it's critical so that they can learn and apply the skills that they're learning.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you had a lot of questions in your chat that kind of touched on different resources, why it was important. You asked about, parent households that maybe have parents that don't live in the same household. Was there any answer or a side conversation that you got on that you were like, gosh, this was really interesting, or a different perspective?
I thought it was cool, and I have the Twitter up right now because I'm trying not to be distracted, but it was cool. Like the PLN was talking about just meeting them where they're at, and everybody really talked tonight. At least what I could read was about establishing those relationships with the families at the beginning of the year and asking them what they needed. Sometimes family, structures change throughout the school year, but when you're doing your welcome back letter, If you're fancy and call it a syllabus, that's fine too. But at the end of the day, just like establishing that right from the beginning of the school year to say, this is how I would like to communicate. What is it that you need? And then revisiting that throughout the year if something changes within a family structure.
Well, and you made a great point there. One element I loved about this topic was that, we talk about how to keep communication with parents at the beginning of the year, right? Building those relationships. How do you tell them everything that they need to know? But then it kind of fizzles. We haven't had many conversations about how to authentically engage with your parents. And then to your point, even taking it one step further, asking them what they need. And that a lot of that goes away by the end of first semester. And then you just kind of go in the grind of second semester. Now in May, having this topic, it was such a good reminder that the year might be ending, but it's not over, right? We got 3 more weeks, 4 more weeks, 5 more weeks. And just because we're in May doesn't mean the communication stops. I know a lot of people are thinking about next year, but how can we stay present and ensure that we're still creating authentic partnerships with our parents?
Well, like the start of the school year is like a new year. And, it's like Happy New Year, but not everything happens in June, in May, June, July, and August to get ready for the school year. So like taking those opportunities as a team or with your PLC, or if you're independent in a smaller school, and just saying, okay, how am I communicating with my families right now? What do they know? What do they not know? And being able just to meet their needs throughout the year.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely accurate. Did you see your last question had to do with teachers setting goals. Did you see any interesting goals of teachers that are really taking ownership over this topic and going forward for the next 4 weeks with something great?
There was a principal, it's funny, Seinfeld just popped on my TV. You gotta love Seinfeld.
Gotta love Seinfeld.
There was a goal that I think it was a principal, Miguel, maybe, if I'm getting it right, talked about trying to meet with all 616 of his families during the school year, which is just like, wow. And so I think it was Miguel, but whoever it was, that's cool as a building admin. And then from the teaching perspective, I was reading that people were talking about making sure that they were talking with each family by the end of the year, which is just an awesome goal. This is a time of the year that you are looking a little bit ahead. You're you're tired. You've had a great year, but just to stay committed to providing that feedback and keep building those relationships with families is incredible.
Sure. Did you set a goal? I don't know that I saw your goal. What's your goal, Brian?
My goal, that's a great question. My goal is continue to use our hashtag for our school year. So I have an assistant principal who came up with an awesome hashtag. We're all Cubs fans. So he took the Cubs hashtag and then kind of created it to our own school. And we were talking like, should we create a new one or keep using this one again? But so my goal is to continue to use that, keep encouraging teachers to use that hashtag. Sending tweets out are great. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on sending videos, just 20-second, 30-second video clips of a class, a STEM class, a science class, a drama class. It doesn't matter. Parents love their children and they want to see a little bit of what they're doing in the day. And the better way to do that is through video. Pictures are nice, but video really gets into what's going on in the class.
Absolutely. What's the hashtag? Now I have to know.
Yeah, the hashtag is That's Rotolo.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's adorable. Does your school have a hashtag or
we do, but ours is pretty awesome.
What do you got?
We're Eagle Nation.
So, like, what happens with the apostrophe on that? How do you do it?
We don't do an apostrophe. But everything is. We don't do that in Eagle Nation. This is Eagle Nation. Everything is hashtag Eagle Nation in our school. So
I love it.
Yeah, it's really fun, and I agree with you that it builds that culture. It saying that you're all Cubs fans and that's how it's based off of, right? It's something to talk about. It's a relationship building piece, and now your parents can all be connected, which is so great.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I have one more big piece that I heard during this group chat. I'm not sure if you saw this, but there was a lot of teachers during your question about social media. How do you use social media to communicate to parents? There were a number of different teachers that reached out and said, we don't use social media, nothing. So if you don't mind, and of course it's just your perspective, but what are your thoughts on that? Principals choosing to not allow social media to be a communication tool?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that there's another side of the story. It may be out of policy, so I wouldn't want to, give a hard time to somebody's, policy. You kind of, you have where you work, but, I work in a school district that, really promotes. We have an amazing, superintendent and communications director, and we really do push out the narrative of something positive in our building. So if, if schools are looking to do that, it's a very powerful tool. Yeah, I noticed that that's, some folks are saying I'd love to do this, but we can't. You have to be careful about release forms with certain families, and you want to meet them where they're at, just like anything else. So you're just cognizant of it. But at the end of the day, they maybe they'll get there soon enough. And
Sure.
there's people like yourself, there's people like my school, there's masterychat, there's a grid method, there's all folks in a PLN that can help folks get ready to to tweet for the first time, or use Facebook for the first time, or right now I just started an Instagram for our school, and I really haven't used it yet, just trying to learn that concept of what it is, but it's there, and we'll use it over time.
Well, and it's all a learning curve, right? Like I've been on Instagram, but yeah, it's not nearly as, I'm not using it as effectively as I am able to use Twitter or connect with the PLN. So it's a learning curve. Kristen commented, great questions tonight, Brian. I love being stumped. That's my kind of chat/question.
Nice.
Arrived on being pushed. I agree, Brian. You had a few questions that stumped teachers, which I love those. You really like push the bar and asking, what are you going to do about it was really one of my favorite questions. Like, what PD do you need? And there's lots of teachers that step back and they're like, I don't know, but I want to know.
I'm somebody, I didn't do it on purpose because this was my first hosting, so I'll take that as a compliment. But
oh yeah,
really at the end of the day, like, we have to rely on each other, so it's good. That's how you grow when you get a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it's good. Sometimes you get into Twitter chats and there are questions that are like, okay, here's the right answer. Here's the right answer. So pushing the limit and asking teachers to really reflect, I think being stumped is great. So for a first time host, you did very, very, very good.
What I just realized is that, like, I was really off center this whole time too. So now, like, you can see my other arm. People might wonder, like, what's up with that guy?
Well, we would still accept you if you only had one arm. Don't worry. It's a big deal.
I get that, but now I'm in the center shot.
Now you're good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to keep it too long. Obviously, you've worked a long day. Everyone in our PLN has worked a long day. And now we probably all need a little bit of family time before we head out to start our day tomorrow. Absolutely. Any final thoughts, things that you want to say to our listeners?
Well, I first of all just appreciate the opportunity to connect with people and grow a professional learning network. So, thank you for that opportunity. I think the biggest thing is just to have those honest conversations, provide feedback. Everything is important. As a parent, you want to know that your child is being successful in school, and that they're getting along with their peers and they're doing well. And the more information that they have, the better that they can be prepared to support their child when they send them to school every day. How about you? Any other thoughts?
Gosh, just thanks so much for hosting, and Mastery Chat is always my favorite time of the week. So for those of you that are listening, for those who are able to join us, maybe you haven't joined us yet, and we're going to hook you in after this talk and you join us next Thursday. We do our Mastery Chat every Thursday. Because Brian and I are live right now, I can actually say it's 7 o'clock Central Time, right. Even though usually we have all our Eastern Time people, it's actually 8 o'clock Eastern. So if you have any interest in joining our Mastery Chat, we're always talking about some fun topics, have great hosts, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Thank you so much.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.